Well, hello, all of you fabulous peeps in podcast and YouTube land. Yes, again, it's your host for the Get Happy podcast, Rude Ronnie Davy. Me, you got me again. And today, oh my goddess, you guys, I have the most fabulous guest today, Miss Cassy Summers in the Crackers World. Anyway, Cassy, oh my goddess, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. That was the best intro of all time, I think.
All time? How does it get any better? Just saying, right? So you guys, this bubbly, vivacious, delicious being is also certified facilitator of access consciousness. But Miss Cassy, would you please share with my peeps in the podcast land a little bit more about what you do, who you be, all the things?
Sure. Yeah, thanks. So I am an access conscious certified facilitator, like you say. So that means I get to facilitate classes. I was traveling the world doing that for a time. Not so much anymore.
Yes, for those of you listening, that we are in still the, the COVID times, but early 2021. So where are we? April 19th. So just to get a picture, we used to both like be all over the place, and we will again. We'll play again.
Yes,
Continuez, s'il vous plaît, my friend.
So the last couple of years of my life have been quite an adventure, sharing these access tools, getting to facilitate. I've created some of my own classes. I have something called As If by Magic, which is an access approved class. So I get to do that online and live, and author, single mama, Canadian. Everyone thinks I'm from the States, but I'm not. I'll apologize right now. And
oh my goddess. No, quite. Please don't apologize. Although we were having this conversation about Canada. What's up, Canada? Let your people be free.
Let us free.
I don't understand. Anyway, so
yeah.
And a mama goddess. How old are your kids? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so my youngest is 8 and my oldest is 10, almost 11.
Oh, wow. Are they like access kids, like for reals?
Oh, yeah. Like they're more the tools than even I am sometimes. like Mom, who are you being right now?
Oh,
like, are you sure this is your point of view, or is this kind of someone else's? And they're actually asking from, not using the tools against me, but actually asking from curiosity. Sometimes if I'm like, whoa, we have a really great open conversation going all the time. So I'll be like, I'm getting really intense right now. And we'll also be like, just expand. It's okay. Just expand out. And he'll go, and he'll show me expanding. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. Oh, wise one. Thank you.
That's amazing. I'm actually doing that with my mom now, who moved in with me in late November. And I'm like, I know I get a little intense sometimes. Just know that when I don't, that's when I stopped caring. I'm such a manipulator of magnitude. And it's true. If I didn't give a shit, why would I get intense? But I love that they actually facilitate you
all the time. Yeah. And each other, I'll hear them, they spread it out. So they'll be talking to their cousin, and the cousin will be saying like something that's bothering him or something bad that happened. And both of them, even the 8-year-old, will be like, hey, you just have to ask, how does it get any better than this? And you know what? It will get better. And so they're like facilitating and educating people in the world, because the tools to them just make sense.
Yeah.
The rest of the world makes no sense to them.
Right.
They're like, I don't understand why a teacher would tell me when I can eat and what I can eat. Why wouldn't I just ask my body? Like, they're just so confused about this world.
Please acknowledge the amazing being that you be for creating two aware children that are willing to not buy this reality. Please acknowledge that, because that's fucking amazing. That is so cool. So cool. And, I'm curious. I'm always curious when I do these Get Happy podcasts that were spurned by this, were birthed These are my children, my books. I have 3 books. So, this is the book that actually inspired this Get Happy podcast. And I know that Access is the reason why I am as over the top happy as I am. I was a happy lady before, but oh my God, it's like off the chain. So how in the world did you discover Access? Were you a seeker? What was going on in your world? Do you have a story, darling?
I do. I have a pretty good story.
Your story.
Into the mic.
I know, for those of you that are listening on Apple Podcast and Spotify, I have these props that I'm playing with, and I'm just held up a mic and the whole thing. Those of you on YouTube will be, you'll see it in real time. So good for you. All right, please, you have the floor, my love.
Yeah, so I was actually very depressed. Like I was super depressed while thinking I was kind of happy. If that makes any sense, because even in my depressed state, I was kind of happier than most people.
Right? No, that actually makes good sense to me.
Yeah, okay, good.
It actually really does, because there's a lot of us that we don't even know we're depressed. We just get kind of cranky pants sometimes, and we think we're happy. And then when you find Access, you realize, oh my gosh, I really was depressed.
Yeah.
No idea, But no, please, I'm gonna.
Yeah. So I remember, so this time I had, when I discovered Access, I had a little boy, a toddler, and he came in, he's what we call in Access an X-Men. Okay. But he came in kind of like screaming. He came in like, this world is abrasive, and why did you think it was a good idea to bring me here? And what is going on? And at this time I had no tools. I was sleep deprived. He didn't sleep more than 45 minutes for over 9 months.
Oh my God.
And I had no support. I had a husband that was zero support. He actually made things harder for me. I had to clean up after him. I had to feed him. I had to make dinners and do his laundry and stuff so I was run down. I was just run down, and I loved my kids. I was pregnant at the time with my second, but I loved my child so much. I loved my friends. I loved my husband, but I woke up every day kind of like, oh, did I wake up again? Like really like, oh, am I still me? Fuck. It was like really healthy.
Groundhog Day. You wake up and it's like, oh, same situation, different.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like hoping I was going to be someone else tomorrow, because this sucks. Like, this is so hard. It's so hard. And I remember this moment, I'm hanging out with a bunch of friends. I rarely ever was allowed out of the house. And I like got out. Yeah. So I got out, pregnant, maybe 6 to 8 months. And my friend, there was a group of us ladies, we all had kids around the same age. And she was like, oh, I brought my tarot deck. I'll pull some cards. And so I was like, if you could, like, what would you ask for? And they're asking for all these fun things, right? And I'm like, well, I would just like to stop hating myself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was my big ask.
Did you even know that you felt that way when you said it?
I did.
God,
yeah. I was like, I just hate myself. I love my kid. I hate myself.
I just adore you. And I can't imagine, no, because you're so amazing. I mean, just your energy alone. And then for you to say you're depressed, and all we ever do when we connect is, I can't imagine it. So you really did you really hate yourself? I mean, down the line, did you realize you didn't actually hate yourself? Or, I mean, was that an implant? Were you buying something else, or?
Well, I later learned about gaslighting, which I did not. And I had just been gaslit out of being. Like the target of a gaslighter is to lock you out of being. And that's really what he did. He was very good at it. And I didn't, and it's so slow and it's so insidious, and it's over I was with him for 11 years.
Honey, I'm so sorry. Wow.
Oh.
You got yourself out of it. So please acknowledge it also.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I did. I hated myself in the way that's how I'd been programmed to,
Got it.
And that was like, they didn't know how to respond. They were just kind of like, so then she just pulls a card, and it's like, I'm not like big in significance. I don't make tarot readings like the be all end all, but it was like kind of cool. It was like, it showed a young boy, and it said someone's coming into your life and they're going to they're going to like give you something to help you change this.
Wow.
So I was like, well, I'm pregnant with a little boy. Maybe it's this guy, maybe, once, he's born, things are going to change. So about maybe 4 or 5 days later, I get a phone call from my midwifery clinic. I chose that route instead of going the doctor way. And they're like, hey, someone reached out to us and they're offering free access bar sessions. Would you, 3 of them. Do you want to do it? And I'm like, what is it? And they're like, we don't actually really know.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard thing to explain. And just for those of you that have maybe never heard of access consciousness or access bars is like the first modality in access that was created by Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness. And it's 32 points on the head that when you touch them in different configurations, it's kind of like a reset button. It gets rid of the thoughts, feelings, emotions, and considerations that you have that aren't really yours. Perhaps you've been implanted with them. Perhaps you've been gaslit. All the things from any lifetime. So, I mean, I love it. So someone just offers you something, you don't know what it is, and you say yes.
I say yes. I'm like, well, I kind of like weird things. I'll try it.
When was this? Was there internets? Was all that going down also at the time? Or was it? Because when I found bars, there was barely any, it was 2003. So there was barely anything to,
a lot of work. Too much about it. It was 8 years ago. Okay. A little over 8 years ago. So what we have available now.
I know, right? The resources.
No.
Yeah, so whatever you guys do not go online and look up all the free stuff about access bars and all the YouTube things that we have, including this free YouTube and all the podcast things. And anyway, because it's just a choice. You don't have to do it. I'm not gonna make you go out there, and I'm holding up another prop. Little red hat that says happiness is just a choice scares people because when they first see it, they always think it's Make America Great Again. Anyway.
Oh, you know what? That red kind of goes sexy with your lipstick.
Doesn't it though? Don't you people in podcast land wish you could see this red lip stain? It's called Blue Red from Lip Sense. Yeah, they should give me an endorsement now. Good stuff. All right. So you get these bars sessions, and then what magic happens?
Well, I was one of those, not everyone has this experience, but I was one of those people that my very first bar session, everything changed. So I get there, she's talking. I don't really know what she's talking about. She's doing the clearing statement. She doesn't really explain it. And I'm kind of like, I'm just going with the flow. Like I'm open. I'm like, let's just see I don't know what's possible. You know what? I'm here and I don't have to do anything for a whole hour. And my life didn't consist of that. So it's really grateful to be lying down for an hour. Yeah, I was like, this is awesome. I'll have an excuse to lie down for an hour and no one can ask me for something. This is great.
Yeah, you can receive.
Yeah.
And we even say that a lot of times an access bars session is the first time someone is actually willing to receive. It's a beautiful thing. It's like having the best massage you ever had with your clothes on, because all this stuff just kind of falls off of you and you feel lighter. At least that's my interesting point of view. I don't know, Cassy, how do you feel about it, darling?
Yes. Yeah, well, talk about lighter. I'm like 8 months pregnant, right? And I get off the table and I was walking and I'm like, floating? like I physically felt lighter. I energetically felt lighter. I was just like, whoa. And I floated to my car. What is she
the
doing?
baby bump, the balloon, like this baby bump just suddenly started floating up in the air like a giant balloon. And there she is. Anyway, that was my visual. If someone was going to do a cartoon, that's what I'd like to see. Mm-hmm. So you actually immediately felt lighter. And so what changed? You said everything changed.
Changed. I remember going home and until I went to bed that night, I did not have one single thought about how terrible I was.
Wow. Which
for me was very unique. And I remember waking up the next day being like, okay to be here, And then then she had done it. She'd set up. So I had 3 sessions and they were every week. By the third one, after my third one, I was just like, it was as if like a lid had been popped. And I was like, what's next? What do I do? How do I do this all the
Wow.
time? Like I was like living had started again for me, where I was in this waiting, like this period of like no living,
Wow.
and living had started again.
Huh.
And then my joy, my happiness, and I was always the happy kid. I was always the joyful kid. I was always the loud, like outrageous child. And all of those parts of me started to like come out again.
Yeah, I can't imagine you being that way as a child at all. Sorry. I was a really loud kid too, but I got punished a lot for it. Children should be seen but not heard. Were your parents an allowance of you being a wild child?
No.
Okay.
I
Well,
think in some ways, but that was definitely that, you know, respect the adults. When the adults are here, you need to be quiet, like that. So I did a lot of my outrageousness like in private or with my friends. I was smart. I knew like hide myself in this
right.
area, be me in this area.
Yeah, I did the same thing. It's funny because in my book, Choosing Happiness, I actually talk about that. Whereas home, you know, I was such a different person around my father because, you know, it was like walking on eggshells. You never knew when he was going to blow up. You could be sound asleep and he would get mad about something and pull the sheets off and go into a tirade. So it was like, I never knew what to expect. But then when I left the house, went to college, and I left early, young child. I mean, I did a deal and deliver with my guidance counselor. Was like, okay, get me out of here, you know. So got out early, graduated early, started college at a very young age, and that's when I just let loose. I mean, still a good student. I had to be because I was on scholarship, so it's like, got to do what you got to do. But still, that's when I allowed myself to be who I was. I thought everybody had the stern father and the mother who tried to make up for it and all the things, you know, and yeah, everybody has their stories, but I didn't realize that that was just programming.
Yeah.
You know, we live in this reality that's all programs that we bought as ours. And what I love about the bars is that it's this opportunity to unlock all that programming and to realize that, hey, you know what, you actually have choice. And what could that create for your life? So tell me more. What happened after the 3 sessions? Because now you know it's popped. You want to
Yeah.
know all the things now, right?
Yeah. So then so I'm like, I need to get bars to my family and da, 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 da. So then she goes, why don't you come take the bars class? And at first I was like, whoa, no, I can't do what you do. I was like, what are you talking about? And she because I came from a place of everything about me was wrong, right? I can't do anything right. Everything I do, I mess up. So I'm like, I'm gonna mess this. This is another thing I'm gonna mess up. And she's like, you get a chart, you're gonna get a manual, you could practice at bars exchanges, you know, just come and then you could do this on your kids, you could do this on your husband. I'm like,
Right.
okay. Yeah. So I was pregnant, still pregnant, and I took my first bars class.
Cool.
And I was like, it was kind of intense. It was a really interesting class. I won't say more, but afterwards it felt like this empowering tool. Like suddenly I had, it wasn't about the practitioner and how they could do bars on me and how they could facilitate. It was like, oh, I have just been empowered with something that can change lives.
Right.
That's amazing.
You've been taught how to fish so that
Yes.
you and your family.
Yes. I can feed them.
Same concept, y'all. You know, same concept. I love it. I love it. Yeah, that was kind of like me. I took all of it at once. I took bars, foundation, and level 1 and 2, which now, you know, as you know, those 4 days are now all called the foundation. And I couldn't wait. And then it was like every body processes class I had to take. So I took the 3-day, and then I hosted another 3-day so that I could take the advance from Gary. And then all of a sudden, this guy comes along doing ESB classes, Dr. Dane here.
That guy.
Co-founder. Yeah, that was like 10 years ago now, if you can believe it. And Being You had just come out. The book had just come out. I thought, well, who is this other guy? And then he was like all over the YouTube, you know? So it's just so interesting. So then from there, you obviously took the class, but you're CF. So there's a lot of space between taking a bars class and becoming a CF.
Yeah.
So what the heck happened, Gerba?
So what happened was I got manipulated into becoming a bars facilitator. So you can become a bars facilitator. Yeah.
didn't choose it at all.
No. I had people that were like, okay, I'm interested in this, but I'm only willing to take the class from you. And I'm like, no, this other
those
person
people.
knows more than me. They've been doing it longer. Like they take it. I will host them. I will be there. Take it for, and it was, and so, and my sister that I love and adore was one of them. And I was like, well, I guess I have to do this for her. I'm like, that's so annoying. And I'm like, well, it's okay, because if I suck, it'll just be like her and a couple people, right? Ended up being a 12-person bars class.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
They
didn't advertise, they didn't do anything about it.
Yeah. It's like you can't have a point of view.
Yeah, it just happened. And then I remember opening up the manual. I remember facilitating that first class, and it was like my being came home.
You finally embodied who you truly be.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm hearing.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, some part during that class, I knew, I was like, oh, I found it. Like I'm going to be a CF. It took me a long time to get there. It took me a divorce. It took me a moving out. It took me a lot of stuff in between that I had to change to get to the CF piece.
You're ready when you're ready. I mean, it took me a long time too. I discovered bars in 2003, and I didn't actually become a facilitator until 2011. Because I was like, I'll just do bars trades and I'll just invite other people and I kept hosting people for foundation. And the same thing happened to me, where I had a couple of people that had taken it from two different people that I had facilitated. And they said, you know more than they do. Why aren't you teaching this? And it wasn't until I decided I had to be a right voice for you facilitator that I was interested in being a CF, because I went, oh, I have to actually be a CF to do that? Crap. Okay.
That's sneaky.
Well, I guess I'll have to do it. And I can't tell you how much I love teaching that foundation class. I taught one a month during COVID until my mom moved in, and then it was more juggling after that. And now I'm also a relationship done different facilitator, and that has just been, it's mind blowing what these tools do. I never thought I'd do 2 specialty classes. What kind of crazy ass person am I? Chooses that? Yeah, this kind. So it is
the guy that chooses happy.
Right? I mean, I can't believe I get to do this for a living and people pay me.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say the joke's on them, but it's like, are you kidding? Every time I teach the class, have you noticed that something else just pops? It's like what you teach what you most want to learn, I think, or, that's my awareness about that. And I was telling Gary in what was the class we were doing online, Actions for Futures. And I told him, I said, I got to this part that I have facilitated this so many times. It's like one paragraph about secrets. And it locked everybody up. What I read, including me, and we're like all falling asleep. And it's this whole piece about hiding the greatness of who we truly be. Why would an infinite being choose that? And I finally got that piece. And how many years have I been teaching foundation? So you get it when you get it, even when you're teaching. It's like, the facilitation piece, it's just so beautiful. And every class is so different. And it's the class that creates, that's what I love so much about it. So you said you have a specialty class. And do you teach X-Men also? Because you mentioned something about X-Men, no, or yes, or
I'm almost an X-Men. That's my target for this year. Yeah, facilitator. I love the work. I've taken the class with Gary and Diva, and it's and I have my kids, and I finally acknowledge that I'm an X-Men. That took a while.
Same. So would you mind terribly just explaining to our listeners and our watchers, what an X-Men is in access, maybe not access speak, but to the lay people?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you mean X-Men? Your children are X-Men. Yeah. Do they sprout little things out of their fingers? Swords
at night.
fly through the sky and all the things.
Yeah. So when Gary was developing this specialty, the X-Men movies that you probably all know were really, really popular, and they had come out. And it essentially is the acknowledgement of a mutation of the species to a higher order. So that's where we had in the movies, if you haven't seen the movies, I recommend them. These certain people with certain genetic factors, they mutate, they evolve, and they have these superpowers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when Gary looks at, and we can look at kids, but it's not just kids, it's adults too, right? With autism, ADHD, OCD, like the way that Gary looked at it was, these are actually abilities that these kids they're mutating into a higher way of functioning.
Right.
But this reality looks at it as like, oh my God, these kids are disabled and they don't have like the things that we have, so they're at a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I love Gary talks about, he says, it's not about getting them to learn how to fit in. It's about us learning how they function and how to support them.
Their capacities are beyond what we recognize as being something miraculous and magical.
Yeah.
You know, a child with autism, they are so freaking sensitive, y'all. They can perceive way beyond the realm of, you know, this. Here we are trying to talk to them. We're right here, and they're perceiving miles and miles and miles around them. And for them, it's a lot of noise. So if you really want to connect with a child that has autism or ADD, ADHD, you got to kind of lean in and sort of telepathically give them pictures. Because I do this with my cat.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah.
All I can do, I just give her a picture of the door to let her know, hey, do you want to go out? Because I'm getting ready to get up and get myself a little coffee or something. I'm happy to open the door for you. And she just runs over there and goes, meow, meow. Like, why aren't you here already? And this is
I already got the picture. Yeah.
It's like she gets it immediately. And I've worked with children with autism as well. And I've found that is really the way to get into their world. You just kind of lean in a little bit, you know, and communicate with them that way. And then they just kind of turn to you like, hey, you get me, or whatever, you know. But I love that. So, and then your children have these capacities as well. Can you tell a story about that, or do you have something?
Yeah. Well, here's a great example. So when my oldest was in kindergarten at the time, and I was sorry, I was still kind of new to the tools, but it was really like just integrating them into my life. I just loved them. I was kind of an addict of access tools. And so he was falling behind in reading. And they were like, so the teacher was like, he's falling behind. You might want to work at this at home. So I come home and I bring all the books that they tell us this is his reading level. And I'm like, hey, what's going on here? And we do a lot of questions at home. So I'm like, what does he know about this? So I'm like, what's going on here? He goes, well, these stories are really boring. And I'm like, yeah, they are really boring. But you go to the stories that wouldn't be boring, he doesn't have the reading level yet. So I was like, okay, I'm like, so what can we do to make this more fun? He goes, what if, Mom, you read 2 stories at the same time? And I was like, how would I do that? He goes, well, just open up the book, read 1 page from this page, read one page from this book, and then I'll follow the story. And I was like, okay, like what's the worst that could happen? We don't like it. So I do this for a week. And when I close the books, he can tell me what happened in each individual story. He doesn't blend them. He can actually follow it that way.
Wow. Non-linear.
Imagine. So I did it for 4 days, maybe 5 days, like a week. His reading went up. He was almost above average. And we never had to do it again.
Huh.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like he taught himself what could work for him by simply asking. You know, you ask him a question, he's like, well, Mom, why do we do this?
It seems so like obvious. And I'm like, is it?
You're like, how can we both? Mom, you know, that is so amazing. That's really cool. It's actually really cool. You know, how many of us have misidentified, misapplied these geniuses? You know, they're just bored. What if they are just bored people? I mean, look around at the choices people make. Boring.
Really? And that's his, like, everything's too slow, everything's too boring. And what's so great about these tools is that rather than looking at him as, oh, this poor child that's disabled, how can I make his life better? I get to ask him questions so that I can empower him of like, so what would work for you? We know we want to graduate high school. We know we want to get you there. So
Right.
what's it going to take for this to work? And what do you know about it? And it's surprising how much they actually know.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
And I've got to acknowledge you again for being in a space. I mean, he's kind of facilitating you right back, but here you are facilitating this beautiful being. You're not telling him how it's supposed to be. You're asking him what he knows. And then he's sharing as if he's facilitating to you. Well, Mom.
Yeah.
And you don't have a point of view about that either. And to me, that's
No.
this beautiful creationship that you have with your children, where, you're not buying into what this reality tells you you're supposed to do or be with your kids. You're in a space of, hey, he's his own individual. He's got talents and abilities. And I'm going to nurture those talents and abilities. I'm not going to take him out of him being him.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually encourage him to be more of who he be. I love that. I love that. I love that. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What else? What else, Cassy?
Yeah.
What else do you know? What else do you know? Tell me your favorite tool of that. Wait, darling. Tell me your favorite tool of access. I'm holding the microphone again for those of you who can't listen. Something about props. I love my props.
Props are fun.
And sometimes, it's just so fun to break out in song, Forget your troubles, come on, get happy. Come on and chase all your cares away. Sing hallelujah. Come on, get happy. We're waiting for the judgment day. No, we're not. No more judging. Oh, wow. That was cool. Did you hear that little weird noise that just came out of my microphone?
Yeah.
No more judging, you all. That is the biggest lie and impalement and evil you can do to not only you, but your friends, your families, all the things. No more judging.
No more
So,
judging.
Cassy, yeah, listen, I got so intense for 2 seconds.
Right.
Tell us.
I like intensity.
Yeah, right. What is one of your favorite tools of access? One or two? I know there's, it's hard to sometimes just say one. So I'm handing you the mic. What's one or two of your favorites and why?
Well, I think the one that changed the most from that like depressed, like hate myself person to one of like that I applied right away. And it sounds too easy and too simple. It was really, who does this belong to? It was really acknowledging that 99.99% of every thought, feeling, and emotion wasn't mine. And I did, there's a 3-day challenge you can take. I did it. And not a lot of people actually do the 3-day challenge, but I did it. And I was at the end of it. You did it? Yes, you did. Of course you did. Of course you did.
Even my mom, sometimes she'll hear me and I'll go, now who does this belong to? She goes, are you talking to me? What are you talking? So no, I just got a really weird thought and it doesn't sound like anything I would think of. And that's cool, people. It's like, if something's coming up in your world and it doesn't make sense, guess what? Newsflash, not yours. So why would you buy it as yours? You know?
I actually have a fun kid story about that tool.
Please.
Since my kids are in this episode. We were at a bouncy castle place, right? And we're having so much fun. And I like to like get on the bouncy castles and I often get kicked off. I don't know why. I'm short. I feel like I'm kind of like a kid. Like I'm like, I look like the same height as a
kind
child.
of.
Like, just let me on.
I'm so immature, I sometimes question people when they're like, no, you're an adult. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Really? Okay, I guess it's real. I guess I look like an adult. I'm a child dressed in an adult suit, I guess is what's going on. I'm an infinite being pretending to be Rudrani Devi. That's what's going on here. Okay, I get it. I'll move on now. So you get kicked out of the bouncy castle, and then what happens?
Yeah. And we're just having the best time. And then all of a sudden I see my kid's face like start to scrunch up. And he starts to look like kind of angry. And I'm like, look at like, what is happening? And in my head I go, who does this belong to? Like for him. And my eyes focus on a kid like directly behind him that's like throwing balls with anger. Like he's just hating life. And I'm like, okay. So then I look at my kid, and he was still pretty little. So the way I use the way I describe the tools were really simplistic. I would say, hey, whatever this is, like, do you notice this energy here? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, can you just return it to sender? Like, just return it back to where it came from. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, cool. And then I used the Access Conscious Clearing Statement. We had a great time. Happy, super fun. We don't talk about it in. We get in the car, we're driving away, and my kid goes, hey, Mom, do you know why I took all the anger out of that little boy? I was like, whoa. I didn't bring up the little boy. I didn't say a thing about it. And this is how X-Men are they're so aware, right? And I said,
Wow.
why? And he goes, yeah.
Girl, you have no idea. I have chills, and I've been lasered, so I don't have hair on most of my body no more, except on my head. And I got chills where the hair is supposed to be. That's all I'm gonna say. I look like a chicken who's been plucked, because literally. Okay, y'all. I know that was a terrible visual. Just my legs and under my arms and pubic area. Anyway, go on. Just more. Let's move on from that. I digress. So
so I said, well, why? And he goes, well, I didn't want him to feel that way anymore. And I'm like, oh, you're so sweet. You're so kind. I acknowledge his kindness. I said, talked about him having joy in his life, all the things. And he goes, oh, don't worry, Mom. I just return it to sender. And then it goes back to the people that really love being grumpy.
oh, wow.
Like, he could energetically he got like where it, so with this tool to explain to the listener.
I don't think you deserve these children. They're just too amazing. Why in the world do you get to have them?
I don't. I'm so lucky.
I'm totally playing. You created them. It's a co-creation, y'all. I don't want to get some hate mail now. No hate mail. No hate emails. And I want to acknowledge, Cassy, this fabulous creation of this brilliant being that you have in your life. Golly, that's amazing. I can't wait to meet your kids one day.
Yeah, they love coming to Access classes. They've been saying, when can we go do that again? And I'm like, hopefully soon.
Canada, gets its head out of it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It'll happen.
So the tool works is you could take these thoughts, feelings, emotions. So it could be like this, whatever it could be. Even like if you're hungry, you can, that's how I did, like, oh, I feel hungry, right? Who does this belong to? Mm-hmm. Is it mine? Is it someone else's? If it's someone else, I return to sender. I don't feel hungry anymore. Okay. You could do it with, if you're angry, if you're sad, if I had this tool back when I was waking up every morning, hating myself, if I had used that tool,
that's what I was alluding to. I was like, are you sure you hated you, or are you picking up on everybody else that hates themselves?
I definitely, I made it mine dynamically.
And for you.
I know. I own that.
I'm going to align and agree with this because
anyone's hated myself.
It's a good thing you're so cute, because I don't know if that's a really smart decision, but you know better today, or not better, but you've made another choice. You chose something different, and I'm so grateful.
I chose happy, like, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you get your happy on in closing? Yeah, because I could do this all day, but I have to be in a class in 15 minutes.
Me. Yeah, to go too. So my using the bars and the tools, because I've allowed it to like become part of my functioning. It is how I live my life. I wake up happy every day. I don't actually work at it anymore. Whereas before it was a struggle to get there. Like, you're getting to happy. And it's actually just, I wake up like, hi, well, what are we going to do today? Like, that's just, even when I have like a million things on my list, I'm like, oh, I get to do this today. I get to live today. Right. I get to be here. Whereas before it's like, oh, I'm here.
What am I still doing here?
Yeah, I'm like, didn't I leave when I went to sleep? But now I'm like, oh my God, I get to be here. I get to facilitate people. I get to walk in the sunshine. I get to, engage with people. I love people. I get to listen to music today. I get to dance today. I get to, everything's exciting. Like, I love life. I love, and the living that I've created for myself. And that took a bit. It took a bit to create a living that I was excited to wake up for. But once I did that, then it's just,
Please acknowledge again that you actually created that. You guys, I'm sorry, I keep pushing the button of acknowledgement, because here's the thing about it. when you create magic and you don't acknowledge it, the universe is like, okay, I'm cutting you off. Well, not really. Because the thing is the universe wants to gift you. So if you acknowledge it, the universe gets excited and it gives you more. And I guess that's the point. So I say this all the time. I want you to acknowledge that. And I sound like a broken record, but it's such a true story, y'all. And it's that simple. It's simply ask and you shall receive. And then when you do receive, acknowledge it so the universe can gift you more. How does it get any better than that? Right?
Yeah.
Woohoo! Dang, shebang bang. This was a great conversation, girl.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being my guest. I mean, please. And if we've got to play some more. We definitely have to play some more. And please tell the peeps how they can find you, my love.
Okay, yes. So you can find, I have a website, www.cassysummers.com. That's an easy way. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, Cassy Summers. You'll find me. I love social media, so you'll find me socializing. I'm playing with TikTok now. Like, I'm just all over.
I downloaded the app and I'm such a bad humanoid. I still haven't done a single TikTok. I don't know what the heck to do with it, but I'm gonna figure it out now. I'm inspired. I started to say I'm expired. I'm inspired.
You're inspired, and you would rock at TikTok.
You know what? I have props.
Know it. Yes, you have props. You're perfect for TikTok. Was made for you.
Was. Dang, I need to quit squandering this loveliness of me in the TikTok world and share with all the peeps that are looking for this crazy happy lady.
Yes.
There are worse things you can be called besides the happy lady. And I've been called a few of those things. So. And as you can see, I really care. Please judge me. Cha-ching, cha-ching. Please judge me because it's so much fun to see how it doesn't affect me anymore, you know? Yeah. It's pretty crazy. That's really being out of control. So, which I am. I'm so out of control. All right. I digress. I could talk to you forever. So we'll have to do it again. All right. Thank you so much for being my guest. Thank you guys for listening now and in the future. And if you liked this, please, sign up for the podcast or the YouTube channel. If you know someone that this could speak to, please share with them. And until next time, beautiful beings. I'm trying to find the button. Until next time, ciao, ciao for now, darlings.